Hey, what's up? So recently, some people put in the comments of some of my newer videos that they would like me to talk about, like how I lost weight, and so I wanted to do a video on that, just how I lost weight, but I felt like it would be more important to do a video on why I lost weight and just like my weight loss or my history with my weight, because I feel like that's an important thing to talk about, because your weight is going to be a journey, and I don't I don't want to like sell any type of lifestyle or diet to anybody. If you just want information about like how I eat and stuff like that, I'm going to get to that in the video, and I'll timestamp it and put it in the description. So basically, I wanted to start out with just like information about my background. I've had weight problems my whole life, and not just being overweight, but fluctuating a lot, like in kind of an alarming amount, I guess you would say, and also being like underweight at times. So yeah, that's like some stuff that I'm gonna get into. So growing up, I kind of developed an unhealthy relationship with food. Just I don't really want to get into that, but it was like my main caregivers and people around me also had unhealthy relationships with food, and so that kind of bled over into me. When I was about 11, I weighed 165. I was like 5'3" or 5'4", and that's what I weigh now. So, yeah, like as a kid, I was pretty chunky, and I was in swimming at the time. It was like competitive swimming, and I was doing really well until I started gaining all that weight, and that started affecting my performance in swimming. It started really bothering me, and my coach kind of talked to me, and he was very judicious in how he approached it. He was like, he was like, you look fine. I'm not trying to pick on you about anything like that. He said, but you have put on some extra weight, and I think that's affecting your performance. So you might need to lose a few pounds to get back to where you were. So I started dieting, and I had a lot of trouble with it. And I kind of went back and forth. I lost some, gained some, and then I quit swimming for a while, and I went back when I was like 13, 14. And at that time, I was going to a church where there were a lot of people that were obsessed with weight. And it was kind of a toxic type of obsession, because I think being obsessed with your weight is toxic in any case, except if you are like a professional athlete, or a bodybuilder, something like that, or a model, which that might be toxic too, but anyway, that's beside the point. But they were less focused on being healthy and more focused on being skinny. So I was kind of like really impressionable. I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to be attractive, because, as a teenage girl, you kind of fall into whatever kind of mindset the people around you have. So I did that for sure. And one of the girls was on the Special K diet, and that was essentially where you replace 2 meals of your day with a bowl of Special K cereal. And it sounds so ridiculous now, but it was like actually really popular. I don't know if any of you remember that, if you're old enough to remember that, but it was like all over the place kind of. And so I saw her results, and I was like, I want those results. Like, I want to do that. And so I was swimming and I started doing that Special K diet. And it's like, now looking back, like anybody would be like, cereal's not enough to keep you like healthy. But it was like fortified with vitamins. But come to find out now, it's like the type of vitamins that are not bioavailable to your body in any shape, form, or fashion. So people are just basically making themselves malnourished. But anyway, so I started doing that, replacing 2 meals. I was still swimming, and I was swimming a lot. Like, I was at the level where I was getting close to making the cut for the Olympic trials. That was helping me get my weight under control. So it was really encouraging me, like hardcore. I was like, okay, I'm really cooking now. I'm really losing weight. I can get this. I can get maybe into the Olympic trials. I can get scholarships. Like, I'm gonna be set. So I started losing weight. I got down to a healthy weight. Performance was great in swimming. And then I kind of got obsessed with the weight loss itself. I liked the feeling of control. I liked seeing my body transform, and I eventually got to where I liked seeing myself get bonier. So it progressed from there, and it got to where I was sometimes replacing all 3 meals with the Special K. And I got so bad that I started getting so tired that I would almost pass out during the day, and it was happening at practice. And so it just kind of went down from there. At my lowest, I was about 130, which really doesn't sound that thin, but for an athlete at the level that I was at, and as much muscle as I had, was really low. Like, I've had my body fat percentage tested, and like doing the calculations, they said my lean mass was like 120 pounds. So I was carrying around like 10 pounds of body fat, and that's like a ridiculous percentage. Of course, back then, like, I probably didn't yet have the bone density that I have now, so maybe my lean mass was less than that, but it was still, I was getting very thin for like just what I was doing, like being an athlete and stuff. So I started like not liking the fact that I was feeling so bad. So basically at that point I stopped. I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of feeling sick, no energy, and I was like getting depressed from it. And then I started gaining weight back when I started eating normally again. And my progress in swimming was decreasing, and there were financial issues with me pursuing swimming in my family. So I was kind of getting burnout, and so I stopped swimming. At that point, my weight started to like kind of skyrocket again. I got up to 185, I believe. That was when I was about 16 or 17, and then I lost weight back down to 175. Frame of reference, I'm 5'5". That's my height. So then when I graduated high school, some stuff happened in my life where I started getting pretty depressed, and I've always had issues with depression. Come to find out, I had ADHD, still have it. I'm actually medicated now, and I have bipolar depression, which I'm also medicated for now. So that's been helping a lot, but I'll get to that later. After high school and all the depression set in, I kind of ballooned up to close to 200, and then I met a guy that I wound up marrying. too soon, and he turned out to be a very bad person, and he was abusive, and I was with him for almost 4 years. And I got so depressed that I got up to 220. And that's when I started like putting my videos on YouTube. The fat girl makeup tutorial was like kind of in the midst of that. So at that point, it was kind of like, that was like the critical mass. And so then at that time I was smoking. I smoked from 18 to 25, I think. Yeah. So I lost weight, or actually, okay. So once I got up to 220, I found out that I had an ovarian cyst, and it was really big. And it wasn't the kind that they can do, like, go in with a little tiny incision and get it out. It was a large surgery. It was an exploratory laparotomy. If you want to look that up, it's basically they cut your entire lower abdomen open and take out your uterus and ovaries, and they look for cancer everywhere because they thought that this cyst was cancerous. Because I had a blood test, the CA-125 was elevated. That was like a cancer marker, but they said that since I smoke, that could cause it to be like a false positive. Thankfully, it was not cancer, but at that point, I was like, oh my God, this is intense. I'm way overweight, and it's causing health problems, and smoking's causing health problems. And so I kind of got interested in the vegan diet, and specifically at first it was the raw vegan diet, and I followed people like Freely the Banana Girl, and then Durian Rider, and kind of started on that, and that went well at first. Notice that I said at first. So I lost a lot of, like, I started losing weight like quickly. I also noticed that I was still feeling really good because I was eating very often, and it was like a lot of carbs. But after a while, I noticed that I did start to feel bad. Like, it was a weird feeling. But like before that, I still have a skin condition called hidradenitis suppurativa, which is basically like a step above cystic acne. It's chronic boils, and it's been something that's like been really embarrassing and painful my whole life, and I've dealt with it. And it was just one of those things where, like, I went to the dermatologist, and they were like, well, we can put you on Accutane, which probably causes cancer, and it may or may not work. And I don't know, just the thought of that was scary, and so I just didn't do it. I just kept suffering with it. But when I was on the vegan diet, I noticed that condition improved like a lot, and so I was like, hey, there's something good going on here. I need to figure out what's going on. So through that, I realized that gluten is actually one of the triggers for my skin condition. And also sucrose. So there's, not to get super nerdy, but there's a difference between sucrose and fructose, which the main portion of the carbs I was consuming was fructose, because it was like mainly fruitarian and raw vegetables and fruit. Some fruits do have sucrose, but not in large quantities like, processed foods do. But anyway, I noticed that when I didn't have sucrose, it was improving as well. And so I basically, through that diet, isolated these things that were causing my skin to flare up really bad. So from there, I was like, okay, I've isolated these things. Let me just amend this diet. And I was like, you know what? I miss meat. I'm sorry. And so I started eating meat again, but I still tried to consume a lot of fresh vegetables and fruits. I continued doing that and started losing weight. I think I got down to like 190, so I had lost like 30 pounds. And then I started gaining it back just because I was eating too much. And then when I was about 24, I decided that I wanted to do MMA. And so I found, like, specifically jiu-jitsu, but I was interested in like kickboxing and judo also. So I found a place in town and I started training and doing jiu-jitsu, and it was extremely fun, and I became obsessed immediately. And my coach told me one time, he was like, dude, I can hear you wheezing over everybody. He's like, you need to quit smoking, like, immediately. And I was like, okay. And I had tried to quit smoking for like 7 years and been unsuccessful every time. So hearing that somehow just flipped a switch in my head, and it was 2 days after my birthday. So January 6th, I put out my last cigarette, and that was what, 2014, 2015? It was 2014. But anyway, so I put out my last cigarette, and I haven't touched one since. And so I continued training, and I wound up, so when I started, I was at 220 again, and then I got down to 160, and I was like fit. Like there was no anorexia going on. I don't know, I have something stuck to my lip. Anyway, there was no anorexia going on. I was eating a lot, and I was burning a lot of it, and I was just like, my lungs were clearing out, and I felt great. So at that point, I was competing and I was doing well, and but at the time, what I realize now that it was kind of a manic phase of my bipolar. I was also working like a factory job, 84 hours a week, and training 2 to 3 hours a night, and probably sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, and I never felt tired until I really felt tired. It took me about 4 months of doing that before I like crashed really hard. I got extremely sick. I got a really bad sinus infection and an upper respiratory infection that the doctor said was probably gonna turn to pneumonia if I didn't like lay off of everything that I was doing. So I pretty much called and quit my job, and I like slacked off of training, and the coach that I was training with kind of made it seem like I was kind of just being a slacker, and my mental health status at that time, like after I quit my job and stuff, started getting really bad. I started having really bad panic attacks, like extremely bad panic attacks, to where sometimes I couldn't get out of bed. And this went on for a while. I still kept trying to train, but it was just like going downhill from there. And I didn't really know what was wrong, and I didn't know like how to tell people what was going on, because I didn't know what was going on. And there wasn't like a lot of people that understood. Only a few people, probably my parents and like a really close friend, were actually sympathetic to it. But not a lot of people that I was training with understood or were sympathetic. It's kind of that toxic masculinity, that dude bro mentality of just suck it up. And I was just like, I'm done with this. And so I quit training. And I started gaining weight again. Surprise! So I kind of ballooned back up to like, I think 180 or 190. And let's see. Then I got in another relationship where this time there was not abuse, but it was just like we weren't really good for each other. I was toxic in ways, he was toxic in ways that just kind of snowballed into both of us like being depressed, and I gained a bunch of weight from that. So we broke up. That was like 2 or 3 years ago, and then I started kind of losing weight again, and I've managed to keep my weight around 160 to 170, usually at 165 ish. So, as far as what I eat now, I basically do an intermittent fasting, which is basically you eat at certain times of the day, and those times are very spaced out. So, what that does is it allows your body to use up all of its glucose from carbs that you've eaten. And then once it runs out of that, it is forced to start burning fat. And burning fat is called ketosis. And burning fat gives you such more even energy levels, and you feel more clear headed throughout the day. At least I do. And it's one of those things where it's just more convenient for me. You don't have to worry about like packing lunches or eating 3 times a day. So basically, what I do is I have a big dinner, and that's about it. Sometimes I have a snack at lunch, and that's it. And I get all the calories I need, and I find that my focus and my energy levels are a lot better doing it this way. And I know some people they immediately think it's unhealthy or that it's some kind of anorexia, and it's not. You can look it up online. It's actually very researched, and a lot of doctors can actually recommend it. I think there's a doctor named Dr. Fung, maybe Jason Fung, but he is kind of specializes in diabetic people. I can't remember the name of that type of doctor, but basically he kind of recommends them to start doing intermittent fasting, and it tends to improve their condition. So that's what I do. I stay away from gluten and sucrose as much as possible, but there's like a lot of that in foods. That's mainly to keep my skin condition under control. But yeah, that's about the extent of how I watch what I eat. I basically, other than that, I eat pretty much what I want. There's some types of artificial sweeteners that also trigger my hidradenitis suppurativa, but overall, like I try to eat a good amount of vegetables and good meats. I don't eat a lot of like overly processed meat like beef jerky or anything like that. Not a lot of sandwich meat. I tend to cook my meat myself and make my own dinners because it's way easier to control what I put in my body that way. Like I know every ingredient that's gone into my body when I cook for myself. So that's pretty much what I do. I would definitely recommend cooking for yourself if you have any kind of food allergies or you're trying to stick to a certain diet. So that's basically most of my diet recommendations. Pretty much just get like the amount of calories that you want to stick to, and then if you do intermittent fasting where you only have one meal, you can kind of pack all those calories into that one meal. And I know that sounds like a lot, but there's very calorie dense foods that you can eat, and you can easily get those calories. Like I'm kind of like a butter and cheese queen, so it's pretty easy to just get, a regular size meal and get your daily caloric intake. So that's what's easy for me, and I've found it to be the most sustainable type of diet and lifestyle. So yeah, that's it on as far as my diet goes. So the mental health aspect of this is like very critical to understand. because my whole life I felt like a complete loser. Like, I was so weak. I was such a loser. Like, why can't you control your appetite? Why do you go down so far and do so well and then you just, like, totally sabotage it? I was like, um, shh. So, anyway, stop. Um, anyway, I harbored like a strong sense of guilt, like all the time about my weight, and really had like a lot of body dysmorphia. I kind of hated myself a lot. And, excuse me, when I made the fat girl makeup tutorial video, I was at a bad place with in terms of my body. So, a big thing that I want people to know is that mental health is a huge part, an enormous part of your weight and how you view yourself. Um, I was dealing with a lot of body dysmorphia and undiagnosed mental illness, and that's what affected my weight my entire life. And I spent so much time hating myself because I thought that I thought that I just was weak and I didn't have enough discipline and I was just inferior in like every way. So when in reality, I just had some like disabilities that affected my ability to lose weight, like or keep weight off, because one of the main things with bipolar is weight fluctuations, because when you're in a manic state you can become obsessed with a diet and you can adhere to it really well, and then when you lapse back into a depressed state, sorry for my cat, you lapse back into that, you can do a lot of emotional eating and you don't want to exercise and you don't want to do things like at all, even things you enjoy. So that's a huge part of it. And the times that I did lose weight, I just want people to understand is like, I think people get attached to this notion of like, if I lose weight, I'm gonna be worthy, or I'm gonna be worth more as a person, or my life will finally be right once I lose weight. And I'm here to tell you, after losing and gaining weight 50 times, it doesn't change anything. Like, it changes stuff on surface level. It doesn't change anything deep down. It can improve your health, which can improve your mental health, but it's not going to cure you. It's not going to cure you if you have serious underlying issues that are causing your weight loss. Like, I'm tired of seeing people beat themselves up over, I don't have enough discipline, or they don't have enough discipline. They're just losers. Like, why can't they get themselves under control? Why are they so fat? And it's like, you know what? First of all, it's none of your business. Second of all, have some freaking empathy for people. Like, they're struggling. People are struggling with so much that you don't know. And it's like, people are always like, oh, I just want people to be healthy. It's like, no, you want them to look the way you think they should look. It makes them uncomfortable when people don't fit their cookie cutter idea of what a person should look like. And I hate it when people use that as an excuse. Well, I just want people to be healthy. What about their mental health? What about that? Like, that is the catalyst for everything in your life. Like, to an extent, people need to try and exercise like discipline, but sometimes there's things that stand in the way of having discipline, and you need mental health counseling, and you might need medication to help you. And so that's like one of the final things that I want to drive home is like, I'm not some health guru, I'm not a weight loss guru. I wanted to clear up like people thinking that I had some kind of magic potion for losing weight, because I didn't. I made life changes that helped improve my overall state of being, and I got mental health help, and that's kind of been the things that helped me the most. And even if you are overweight and you get those things and you still don't lose weight, it's not a big deal. If you're to the point where your health is suffering, like definitely kind of, dig in and try to lose the weight. But there's a lot more important ways that you can take care of yourself, and you're not a number on a scale, and you are a very complex and charismatic and valuable person, regardless of your weight. And your ability to lose weight has no bearing on your character whatsoever, or your like intelligence or your beauty or anything like that. So I was trying to drive that home. You're beautiful, and you're worth a lot of love, and your weight doesn't matter. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. Leave comments of videos that you want me to make next. If you enjoyed this, like, I can make more about either mental health or weight or like diet stuff. Like, I'll be glad to do that. So just let me know. I like reading your comments. So have a good day. I'll talk to y'all later.